Look around the room you're in right now. Your phone, your clothes, your furniture, the coffee in your cup. Almost everything you own traveled to you inside the same object, a simple, ugly, corrugated metal box. It has no engine, no technology, no moving parts. And yet, economists rank it alongside the printing press and the internet as one of the most transformative inventions in human history. This box destroyed entire cities. It ended a way of life that had lasted 5,000 years. It quietly decided which countries got rich and which got left behind. This is the story of the shipping container, the box that rewired the world. To understand why a metal box changed everything, you need to see what the world looked like before it. For thousands of years, from the Roman Empire to the 1950s, moving cargo across the ocean worked exactly the same way. It was called break-bulk shipping. Every single item traveled loose: barrels of wine, sacks of coffee, crates of machinery, bales of cotton, each one carried by hand. When a ship arrived at port, armies of longshoremen swarmed aboard. They unloaded every sack, every barrel, every box, one at a time, on their backs. It could take a week just to unload one ship, then another week to load it again. The result: ships spent more time parked in harbors than sailing the ocean. And all that human labor made shipping brutally expensive. In the 1950s, moving goods across the ocean could cost more than making them. Sending a truckload of medicine from the US to Europe, the ocean freight alone could eat up a quarter of the product's value. This is why, for most of history, international trade was a luxury. Countries mostly consumed what they made. A French person drank French wine. An American wore American cotton. Not because of patriotism, because shipping anything else cost a fortune. The docks were also a dangerous, chaotic world. Cargo was crushed, stolen, lost. Whiskey shipments arrived half empty. Insurance rates were astronomical. Ports were cities within cities. Hundreds of thousands of workers, entire neighborhoods built around the waterfront. 5,000 years of tradition. An entire civilization of docks, warehouses, and working hands. One man was about to make it all obsolete. His name was Malcolm McLean, and he wasn't a shipping magnate or an engineer or an economist. He was a truck driver from North Carolina. In 1937, as a young man, McLean sat in his truck at a New Jersey port, waiting to deliver cotton bales. He watched dock workers unload his truck piece by piece, haul everything into slings, and swing it slowly onto a ship. He waited there almost an entire day, and a thought stuck in his mind. Why couldn't they just lift his whole truck onto the ship? The idea sounds obvious now. At the time, it was heresy. It took McLean nearly 20 years to act on it. By the 1950s, he had built one of the largest trucking companies in America. Then, in a move everyone called insane, he sold it, all of it, and bought an aging oil tanker. He refitted it to carry 58 aluminum boxes on its deck. On April 26, 1956, that ship, the Ideal X, sailed from Newark, New Jersey to Houston, Texas. Loading it didn't take a week. It took less than 8 hours. And the cost? Loading loose cargo cost about $5.86 per ton. Loading the Ideal X cost less than 16 cents per ton. Not a small improvement. A 37-fold collapse in price. But here's what most people miss. The genius wasn't the box itself. It was what the box demanded.
The same container had to fit on a truck, a train, and a ship. It had to be lifted by the same cranes in every port on Earth. That meant the entire world had to agree on one standard. Through the 1960s, a quiet war was fought in committee rooms over the size of a metal box. When it ended, the world had its standard, a box 8 feet wide and either 20 or 40 feet long. Boring numbers that would reshape the planet. Because once every box was identical, something magical happened. The cargo became irrelevant. A crane operator in Rotterdam didn't need to know if the box held televisions or t-shirts. Ports transformed from cities of muscle into automated machines. A ship that once needed a week to unload could now be turned around in hours. The box was no longer just a box. It was a system. And systems change the world.
The container's first great test came from an unexpected place: war. In the late 1960s, the United States faced a logistics nightmare supplying its forces in Vietnam. The old ports were drowning in chaos. Ships waited weeks to unload. McLean convinced the military to try containers. It worked so well that on the return trips, his empty ships stopped in Japan and began carrying Japanese electronics to America. Sony, Toyota. The rise of Japan as an export superpower. It sailed to the world inside McLean's boxes. And then, the great reordering began. When shipping costs collapse towards zero, a company no longer has to build its products near its customers. A factory can be anywhere on Earth, wherever labor is cheapest. First Japan, then South Korea and Taiwan, then, above all, China. The container didn't just move globalization. In a very real sense, it made globalization physically possible. Today, a t-shirt can be grown in one country, spun in another, stitched in a third, and sold in a fourth. And the shipping adds just pennies to the price. But every revolution has its losers. Remember those armies of longshoremen? Within a generation, the work of thousands could be done by a handful of crane operators. The great waterfront neighborhoods of New York, London, and Liverpool, communities a century old, emptied out. The old docks became ghost towns, then luxury apartments. Cities that refused the container, or couldn't afford the new megaports, watched the world's trade routes simply go around them. The box quietly decided which cities would thrive and which would fade, and most people never noticed it happening. Today, roughly 90% of everything traded on Earth travels by sea, most of it in containers. At any moment, millions of these boxes are crossing the oceans, an invisible bloodstream of the global economy. When it flows, shelves fill and prices fall. And when a single ship gets stuck, as one famously did in the Suez Canal, the whole world feels it within days. Malcolm McLean died in 2001. On the morning of his funeral, container ships around the world sounded their horns in salute. A truck driver who never built an empire of palaces, just a box. And with it, the modern world. The next time a package arrives at your door, look at it differently. That object crossed oceans for almost nothing. Because 70 years ago, a truck driver got tired of waiting at a dock. The shipping container has no plaque, no monument, no place in school textbooks. It doesn't need one. Its monument is everything around you. Ordinary things have extraordinary stories. If you want to hear more of them, subscribe. Because next time, we're asking a darker question. What if the deadliest animal in human history is small enough to land on your arm without you noticing? See you in the next one.